Imagine a room filled with people, all talking, all trying to be heard. Words float in the air like scattered notes of a song that's lost its rhythm. But then someone walks in. They don't raise their voice, they don't demand attention. Yet suddenly, everyone goes quiet. Their presence commands the room. Their words land with weight. Their voice carries not just sound, but certainty. That's the voice of a leader, and here's the truth. Leadership isn't about a title, position, or how loud you speak. It's about how your words make people feel. It's about clarity that cuts through confusion. It's about confidence that invites trust. It's about authenticity that inspires action. In this audiobook, you'll discover how to speak with purpose, influence, and power. Even if you've never seen yourself as a leader before, you'll learn to communicate with calm authority, connect deeply, and command respect without demanding it. Because true leadership doesn't shout, it speaks. And when it speaks, the world listens. Let's begin your journey to mastering the art of talking like a leader. Chapter 1. The Power of Presence. There's a moment just before a leader speaks when the air seems to change. It's subtle, almost invisible, but you can feel it. It's in the stillness, the quiet confidence, the sense that something meaningful is about to be said. That moment isn't magic, it's presence. And presence is the first language of leadership. Before a single word leaves your lips, people are already listening, not to what you say, but to who you are. They read your posture. They sense your calm or your chaos. They feel your focus or your distraction. They hear your silence louder than your voice. Presence speaks first. Words come second. If you want to talk like a leader, you must first become someone whose presence communicates strength, clarity, and intention, even in silence. Pause for a moment and think about the people who've inspired you most in life. Maybe it was a teacher, a mentor, a coach, or a friend. When they spoke, you didn't just hear them, you believed them. Their words carried weight, not because they shouted, but because there was something grounded behind their voice. That grounding, that inner stillness, is where leadership begins. True presence doesn't come from charisma or confidence. It comes from alignment, from being completely at peace with what you stand for and who you are becoming. When your inner world is settled, your outer voice becomes powerful without effort. Think of presence like a light. When you walk into a room with calm certainty, your energy lights up the space without forcing anything. People feel drawn to it, even if they can't explain why. But when your mind is noisy, when doubt, fear, or insecurity take over, your light flickers, your words lose their conviction, and your message becomes noise no matter how loud you speak. So the first step in learning to talk like a leader is not about talking at all, it's about being. It's about developing the quiet confidence that comes from knowing yourself, and standing firm in that knowing. Ask yourself, when I speak, am I truly present? Am I here in this moment, fully connected to what I'm saying and who I'm saying it to? Or am I distracted, rehearsing, performing, defending? People can always tell. They may not know why, but they feel the difference between someone who's present and someone who's pretending. Presence is not about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about being emotionally available, mentally focused, and spiritually centered, all at once. It's about being so grounded in your purpose that you don't need to dominate a room to be noticed. Leaders don't demand attention, they earn it through presence. Let's make this practical. Imagine two people giving the same message. One rushes through their words, anxious to be understood. The other pauses, looks up, and breathes before speaking. Their tone is calm, their pace is intentional. Same message, different impact. Why? Because presence gives your words space to live. It's the difference between noise and music. When you slow down, people lean in. When you speak with calm conviction, people listen with respect. When you look someone in the eye, fully there, they feel seen, and that's when trust begins. And trust, more than anything, is the heartbeat of leadership. So how do you build presence? Not by memorizing techniques or mimicking others. You build it by practicing awareness, moment to moment. Before every important conversation, take a breath, ground yourself. Ask, what energy do I want to bring into this space? Then let your silence speak before your voice ever does. Leadership presence is not something you perform, it's something you embody. You embody it when you stay calm in chaos, when you listen before you respond, when you choose grace over defensiveness, when your energy says, I'm here, and I can. Presence transforms communication because it changes the energy behind the words. Without presence, even the most brilliant message feels empty. With presence, even simple words carry extraordinary power. The leader's voice is not built on volume or authority, it's built on alignment. It's when your words, tone, and intention all speak the same truth. People remember not what you said, but how they felt in your presence. That's what leaves a mark. That's what lingers long after you've left the room. And here's something powerful to realize. Presence is not just for leaders in boardrooms or stages. It's for parents guiding children. It's for friends comforting friends. It's for anyone who wants to influence the world with integrity. Every day, you have a choice to speak from noise or from presence, to fill space or to create meaning, to chase attention or to earn it through authenticity. The greatest communicators throughout history, the ones whose voices still echo generations later, all had one thing in common. They spoke from presence. Their energy was steady, their message was grounded, and their voice became a vessel for something greater than words. You can build that same power. But first, you must slow down enough to hear your own voice, because before the world can listen to you, you must listen to yourself. Presence begins where inner peace begins. When your inner voice is calm, your outer voice commands respect. When you're connected to truth, your communication becomes timeless. And this is the foundation of everything that follows. Before confidence, before influence, before leadership itself, presence is the root. Every great leader grows from it. So take a deep breath. You've just learned the first language of leadership, silence that speaks louder than sound. Because once you master presence, the next step unfolds naturally. Learning how to use your words to shape perception, inspire action, and create trust. That's where we're heading next, into the true art of speaking with purpose, power, and clarity. Chapter 2, Await. Chapter 2, The Weight of Words. There are moments in life when a single sentence changes everything. A truth spoken at the right time. A phrase that pierces confusion. A word that heals what silence could not. And then there are moments when careless words cut deeper than we ever intended. Our words are not just sounds, they are seeds. Every conversation plants something. Confidence, doubt, hope, fear. What we speak doesn't disappear. It takes root in the minds and hearts of others. When a leader speaks, their words ripple far beyond the moment. They echo in decisions, in emotions, in memories. That's why a true leader treats every word as a responsibility, not just a tool. The difference between ordinary speech and leadership speech is intention. Anyone can talk, but leaders speak with purpose. Imagine standing before a team that's uncertain, a friend who's discouraged, or a crowd that's afraid. In those moments, your words become more than communication. They become direction. You can calm storms with them, or create them. The weight of words is the unseen force that either builds bridges or burns them. So let me ask you something. When you speak, do you think about the impact your words will leave behind? Or do you let them fall carelessly, hoping the message lands on its own? Because here's the truth. People might forget your exact phrasing, but they will never forget how your words made them feel. A leader knows this. That's why they speak less to impress and more to influence. They choose clarity over cleverness. They understand that a quiet truth spoken from integrity carries more weight than 1,000 empty promises shouted with noise. Words are like currency. The more you use them without intention, the less valuable they become. You've met people who talk endlessly but say nothing, haven't you? They fill space with words like an artist splashing paint without vision. There's color, there's movement, but no meaning. And then there are those who speak rarely, yet every word feels like it carries the gravity of wisdom. You lean in when they talk. You feel the silence between their sentences. That's not charisma. That's discipline. Speaking like a leader means developing that discipline. It means learning to respect the silence as much as the sound. It means understanding that every pause has power, and every word has consequence. When you pause before speaking, you give your thoughts a moment to breathe. That space allows clarity to form. It allows emotion to settle. And it's in that quiet space that leadership is born. Think of the last time you regretted something you said. It probably wasn't because you lacked intelligence. It was because you lacked a pause. A single breath could have changed the outcome. Leaders pause not because they're uncertain, but because they value precision. They know that in the pause lies power, the power to choose words that move people, not wound them. The truth is, words are mirrors. They reflect who we are on the inside. An insecure person uses words to prove themselves. A wise person uses words to express understanding. A leader uses words to elevate others. And that's where the true transformation begins. When your speech shifts from self-centered to purpose-centered. Leadership communication is never about showing how much you know. It's about helping others discover how much they can become. You can tell the difference in tone. When someone speaks with ego, you hear resistance. You sense the need to dominate. But when someone speaks with empathy, you hear openness. You sense invitation. Words that lead don't overpower, they empower. Every time you open your mouth, you have a choice. Will my words build confidence or break it? Will they inspire action or create fear? Will they guide people toward clarity or push them deeper into confusion? Once you become aware of that choice, communication stops being casual. It becomes sacred. And that awareness changes everything. You begin to notice the subtle ways you speak, the tone you use, the energy you carry into every conversation. You start choosing honesty over comfort, calm over chaos. You stop speaking from reaction and start speaking from reflection. That's the moment your words begin to carry weight. Because now, they're aligned with truth. Let me tell you something most people never realize. Words don't just travel outward, they travel inward too. The things you say to others shape your relationship, but the things you say to yourself shape your reality. The way you talk to yourself determines the confidence you project. If your inner dialogue is full of doubt, your voice will tremble no matter how powerful your vocabulary sounds. Talking like a leader begins in silence. In the private conversations you have with yourself, tell yourself the truth, not the fear. Remind yourself of who you're becoming, not just who you've become. Because the moment your inner words align with your higher vision, your outer voice becomes unstoppable. Leadership communication isn't just a skill, it's a reflection of your internal world. Your clarity comes from your purpose. Your tone comes from your peace. Your influence comes from your integrity. And when those three align, purpose, peace, and integrity, your words start to carry a weight that cannot be ignored. So before you step into your next conversation, ask yourself 3 simple questions. Why am I speaking? What do I want to create through these words? And how can I make this moment better? Because of what I say. That is how leaders speak. Not impulsively, but intentionally. Not loudly, but clearly. Not to dominate, but to direct energy toward growth and understanding. Because words have energy, and energy, once released, cannot be taken back. When you realize this, you'll start to handle your words with care. You'll see every sentence as an opportunity, a chance to heal, to motivate, to connect. And when you speak with that awareness, your voice begins to change the atmosphere around you. People feel safer when you talk. They feel calmer, more focused, more inspired. That's the quiet power of a leader's voice. It doesn't demand attention. It earns it. The weight of your words comes not from how forcefully you say them, but from how deeply you mean them. So from this moment on, don't just speak. Speak with purpose. Let every word carry your values, your vision, your humanity. Because when your words align with your heart, people don't just hear you. They believe you. And that belief, that quiet connection between voice and soul, is what makes ordinary speech become leadership. Now that you understand the weight of words, it's time to learn how to wield that power with confidence, how to speak boldly, without arrogance, and inspire trust with every tone you use. That's where we go next, into the art of confidence, without pride, and the voice that commands respect without demanding it. Chapter 3 awaits. Chapter 3. Confidence without arrogance. There's a quiet kind of confidence that doesn't need to announce itself. You can sense it when someone walks into a room, not because they demand attention, but because they deserve it. They carry themselves with a calm certainty, a strength that doesn't shout. That's the kind of confidence every true leader has, the kind that doesn't need validation to exist. But let's be honest, in a world that constantly tells us to stand out, it's easy to confuse confidence with arrogance. We've been taught that being confident means being loud, being noticed, being the center of the spotlight. Yet real confidence isn't about being seen, it's about being sure. Arrogance is built on noise. Confidence is built on silence. The arrogant person needs to prove something. The confident person already knows. When you speak like a leader, that difference becomes your foundation, because people don't follow arrogance. They resist it. But they trust confidence. Confidence comes from alignment, from the quiet knowledge that you've done the work, that you understand your worth, and that you don't have to dominate others to feel significant. It's not about thinking you're better, it's about knowing you're capable. Think back to a time when you felt truly prepared, maybe before a big conversation, a presentation, or a challenge you'd worked hard to overcome. In that moment, you didn't need to fake confidence. It was already there, waiting beneath your doubt, steady and still. That's what real confidence feels like, not excitement or ego, but peace. It's the calm before action, the deep breath before you speak, the silent belief that says, I belong here. Arrogance, on the other hand, is a fragile mask. It hides insecurity beneath a smile that tries too hard. It fills every pause with words, because silence feels like exposure. It demands respect instead of earning it. Confidence doesn't need to demand anything. It earns respect through consistency, humility, and truth. The greatest leaders, the ones whose words stay with us long after they're gone, never tried to impress people. They tried to impact them, and that's the key difference. Confidence serves others. Arrogance serves itself. When you speak from true confidence, your energy says, I'm here to contribute. When you speak from arrogance, your energy says, I'm here to compete. And people can feel that distinction instantly. You've probably met both kinds of communicators. The arrogant one dominates the room, but drains the air out of it. The confident one speaks softly, but fills the space with purpose. The difference isn't in their volume, it's in their intention. Let's make this personal. How often do you silence yourself because you fear being seen as arrogant? How many times have you held back your voice, your truth, because you didn't want to be misunderstood? Confidence isn't about overpowering others. It's about standing firmly in your truth and allowing others to do the same. When you speak with confidence, your tone changes. You stop rushing to prove yourself. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop second-guessing every word. Instead, you focus on service. You focus on connection. You focus on the value you bring to others, not the attention you receive from them. That shift, from proving to serving, transforms everything about the way you speak. Because confidence, at its core, is not about you. It's about what flows through you. When your words come from purpose instead of pride, people stop listening to evaluate you. They start listening to feel you. Confidence has depth because it's rooted in truth. Arrogance is hollow because it's built on fear. And here's the irony. Arrogant people often look confident from a distance, but the closer you get, the less stability you find. True confidence is the opposite. The closer you get, the stronger it feels. So how do you build confidence without crossing into arrogance? You build it through self-respect. When you respect yourself, you don't need to exaggerate your importance. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone. You simply show up, prepared, grounded. Confidence without arrogance is quiet strength. It's knowing you can lead without taking the spotlight from others. It's when you can say, "I don't know," without shame. "I was wrong," without fear. And "you're right," without hesitation. Because a leader who can admit mistakes is one who leads with truth. And truth commands more respect than any illusion of perfection ever could. When you talk like a leader, your confidence is not loud, it's steady. It's the tone that says, "I'm not here to control you, I'm here to guide us." This kind of confidence earns loyalty because it's rooted in humility. And humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself, it means thinking of yourself less. It's the ability to shine without dimming others, to lead without needing credit, to inspire without needing applause. The moment you realize that confidence is not a performance, it's an energy, you'll stop chasing it and start embodying it. You'll notice that your words begin to carry a new power. People will listen differently because they can sense that you're speaking from integrity, not insecurity. Confidence is magnetic, but not because it's flashy. It's magnetic because it's authentic, and authenticity is the rarest form of power. It can't be faked, forced, or fabricated. It only appears when you've accepted yourself fully, the strength, the flaws, the lessons. So if you ever find yourself wondering how to sound more confident, stop focusing on your voice, focus on your truth. Because once you believe it, your tone will follow. Confidence is the natural rhythm of someone who knows who they are and what they stand for. It doesn't need armor or applause, it simply speaks, and that's enough. Remember this: arrogance speaks to be right, confidence speaks to be understood, and people don't follow those who are always right, they follow those who make them feel seen. When your words come from that space, a place of certainty without superiority, you'll notice how communication transforms. You'll feel lighter, more focused, more connected. You'll stop trying to prove your worth and start expressing your value. That's the turning point, because true confidence isn't built in the spotlight, it's built in the shadows of self-awareness. It's not something you perform, it's something you become. And once you become it, it never leaves you. From this foundation, your words no longer serve your ego, they serve your purpose, and that's the moment your voice begins to lead. Now that you've discovered the strength of quiet confidence, the next step is learning how to listen like a leader, because confidence without understanding is incomplete, and the ability to listen deeply is what turns a confident speaker into an influential one. Chapter 4 Away. Chapter 4 Listen like a leader. There's a quiet moment in every great conversation, a pause so powerful it changes everything. It's the space where one person stops speaking and the other truly listens. Not to respond, not to correct, but to understand. That silence, that sacred pause, is where leadership begins. You can talk like a leader, you can stand with confidence and speak with purpose. But until you learn to listen like a leader, your voice will always echo instead of resonate. Because leadership is not just about what you say, it's about what you hear. Imagine this: you're sitting across from someone who's sharing their thoughts, their fears, maybe their ideas. Most people wait for their turn to speak, their minds racing ahead, crafting the perfect reply. But a true leader does something radically different. They listen with their full presence. Their eyes don't wander. Their body doesn't fidget. Their energy says, "I'm here, you matter." And when someone feels heard at that level, they open up, they trust you, they follow you. Listening is not passive, it's an act of connection, of power, of deep respect. It's how leaders build bridges where others build walls. The greatest communicators aren't the ones who speak endlessly, they're the ones who make others feel understood. And understanding is the currency of influence. When you listen like a leader, you listen beyond words. You listen to tone, to hesitation, to emotion. You listen between the lines, to what's being said and what's being meant. Every great leader I've ever known had one trait in common. They were masters of attention. They gave you the kind of focus that made you feel like you were the only person in the room. And that's not a skill, that's a discipline. Listening deeply requires humility. The humility to quiet your ego long enough to receive someone else's truth. It means letting go of the need to always be right, or to always have the last word. Because leadership isn't about being the loudest voice, it's about being the most aware. Think about this: every time you interrupt, every time you rush to fix, every time you defend, you block understanding. But when you pause, breathe, and allow silence to speak, wisdom enters the room. Leaders who listen don't just hear information, they absorb meaning. They don't react, they reflect. And in that reflection, they find answers that no amount of talking could ever reveal. Listening like a leader means treating every word as data for connection. Even disagreement becomes valuable, because when you listen well, conflict becomes collaboration. Imagine a team where everyone feels heard, where ideas are met with curiosity instead of criticism, where people feel safe enough to speak the truth. That's not just communication, that's culture, and that culture starts with you. So ask yourself, how do you listen? Do you listen to reply, or do you listen to understand? Do you listen for agreement, or for insight? Do you listen with patience, or with expectation? True leaders understand that listening is a mirror. When you listen with judgment, you create distance. When you listen with empathy, you build trust. And trust is what transforms words into influence. If you want people to open up to you, start listening like every word is a gift. Because it is. Every sentence carries a piece of someone's reality, their experience, their belief, their story. When you honor that story, you make them feel seen. And once people feel seen, they'll move mountains with you. Listening like a leader also means listening inward, not just to others, but to yourself, to that quiet inner voice that whispers truth beneath the noise. So many people lose touch with their inner wisdom because they're constantly surrounded by external opinions. They've forgotten how to listen to their instincts, the subtle signals that guide them. A great leader balances both. They listen outward with empathy and inward with honesty. They know when to absorb and when to act, when to speak and when to stay still. Listening is also an emotional skill. It means staying open, even when what you hear is uncomfortable. It means not letting your pride or pain interrupt your presence, because sometimes listening hurts. You might hear criticism, you might hear truth that challenges your identity. But leaders don't run from that, they receive it. They see feedback not as a wound, but as a window. That's how you grow. That's how you earn trust. And the more deeply you listen, the more clearly you'll speak. Because every great communicator was first a great observer. You learn how people think. You learn what moves them. You learn when silence is more powerful than speech. Listening shapes your intuition. It sharpens your emotional intelligence. It gives your words direction, because you've taken the time to understand before you influence. So the next time you're in a conversation, don't rush to respond. Slow down, let the words land, notice what's being said and what's being felt. A true leader listens with their mind, their heart, and their silence. And that silence is often the loudest form of respect. Think about the leaders you've admired the most, the ones who inspired you, who made you believe in yourself. Chances are, they were the ones who listened when no one else did. They didn't need to fill every moment with words, because their presence spoke volumes. Listening like a leader isn't glamorous. It's not something you can show off. It's something people feel, and that feeling of being heard, valued and understood, is what makes leadership unforgettable. So if you want to elevate your voice, first master your silence, because leadership begins the moment you stop talking and start truly listening. And once you do, you'll realize every great conversation is not an exchange of words, but of understanding. Now that you've learned the power of listening, it's time to explore the next level of leadership communication, how to influence without force. Because once you've mastered listening, your words gain new weight. They stop persuading and start transforming. Chapter 5 Awake. Chapter 5 Influence without force. There's a certain kind of power that doesn't need to shout. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't push or pressure or manipulate. It simply moves people quietly, deeply and irresistibly. That's the power of influence without force. The kind of leadership that inspires action instead of commanding it. It's what separates those who merely hold authority from those who embody it. Think of the people who have left the biggest impact on your life. Chances are, they didn't control you. They inspired you. They didn't tell you what to do. They showed you what was possible. Their influence didn't come from volume or position. It came from presence, from integrity, from authenticity. That's what real influence is. The ability to move others without having to move against them. It's not about winning arguments. It's about winning hearts. You see, the world teaches us that leadership is about control, about getting others to do what we want. But true leadership is about alignment, about helping others want what's right, not just obey what's required. It's the difference between pressure and inspiration. And once you understand that, you'll never approach communication the same way again. Influence without force begins with energy. Every word you speak carries emotional weight, not just sound but vibration. When your energy is grounded, calm and certain, people feel it. They don't just hear your words, they trust them. Because your tone says what logic can't. That's why so many powerful leaders speak softly, but carry conviction. They don't rush, they don't over-explain. They let the strength of their certainty speak for itself. And that calm confidence draws people in like gravity. When you speak with presence, when your words align with your values, influence happens naturally. You don't have to convince anyone. You become convincing. People can sense the difference between manipulation and inspiration instantly. Manipulation feels heavy, like pressure from the outside. Inspiration feels light, like possibility rising from within. And here's the truth. People may resist your orders, but they'll follow your example. That's the secret of influence without force. Lead with alignment, not authority. Imagine walking into a room full of tension. Everyone's defending their position, guarding their egos, talking over one another. Then you, the leader, take a breath. You lower your voice. You speak slowly, intentionally, from a place of calm certainty. The energy in the room shifts instantly. Why? Because presence is contagious. You didn't tell anyone to relax, you simply became the calm they needed to find their own balance. That's leadership through influence. You set the emotional temperature by controlling your own. When you master your inner state, you stop trying to force outcomes and start attracting them. Your power comes not from resistance, but from resonance, and that resonance makes people listen differently. Think about water. You can't force it to move the way you want by fighting against it, but when you understand its flow, you can redirect it effortlessly. Influence works the same way. You don't fight people's energy, you align with it, guide it, elevate it. Leaders who influence without force know that connection always precedes persuasion. You cannot lead someone you do not understand. You cannot inspire someone you do not respect. So before you try to change someone's mind, seek to understand their heart. Before you speak your truth, listen for theirs. When people feel seen and respected, their defenses drop, and real dialogue begins. Influence isn't about dominance, it's about direction. It's about helping people move forward without feeling pushed. Here's a small example. Imagine a team that's afraid of change. A forceful leader might say, "This is the way we're doing it, no questions." But an influential leader says, "I understand change feels uncomfortable. I've felt that too. Let's look together at what we could gain if we tried." Same goal, different energy. One creates resistance, the other creates willingness. And that's the beauty of influence without force. You don't lose power by being compassionate, you gain it. Because empathy isn't weakness, it's wisdom. The strongest leaders aren't the ones who can make people fear them, they're the ones who can make people believe in them. And belief is born, not through fear but through trust. Influence at its core is trust in motion. Every time someone listens to you, follows you, or supports your vision, it's because they trust the person behind the word. They believe you mean what you say. They believe you care about more than yourself. They believe your intentions are pure. That's why influence without force begins with self-integrity. Because people don't follow perfection. They follow authenticity. When you speak from honesty, you don't need to persuade. Truth persuades for you. Influence doesn't come from dominance. It comes from alignment. When what you say, what you do, and what you believe are in harmony, people can feel it. They don't need convincing. They just know. So if you want to be more influential, start by mastering your own alignment. Ask yourself, do my words reflect my values? Do my actions mirror my message? Do I lead with ego or with example? When your intentions are clean, your influence becomes clear. And when your heart and your words move together, others naturally move with you. Remember this, force can create compliance, but only influence can create commitment. And commitment, not compliance, is the foundation of true leadership. People don't follow you because they have to. They follow you because they want to. Because your presence awakens something in them. Courage, hope, possibility. You remind them of who they could become. And that's the deepest kind of influence there is, not changing someone's behavior, but elevating their belief. So as you move forward, speak less to convince and more to connect. Lead less to control and more to empower. Let your influence flow from your authenticity, not from your authority. Because the leaders who shape the world aren't the ones who demand power. They're the ones who embody it quietly, consistently, and compassionately. When you can move people's hearts, you'll never need to push their hands. That is the art of influence without force. In the next chapter, we'll explore another essential skill of true leadership, the language of vision. Because once you've learned to influence through authenticity, the next step is learning how to paint a future so vivid that others can see themselves inside it. Chapter 6 begins there, with the power of vision and the words that bring it to life. Chapter 6. The power of inner stillness. There comes a moment in every journey when the noise fades, the chase slows, the world that once demanded your constant attention becomes strangely quiet, and in that quiet, you meet yourself, not the self the world applauds, not the one shaped by roles, titles, or appearances, but the one that simply is. The real you, the silent observer behind every thought and emotion. Stillness isn't just the absence of movement, it's the birthplace of clarity. It's where strength is formed, wisdom awakens, and peace returns home. Yet most people run from it. They drown it with distractions, bury it under endless doing, or fill it with noise they mistake for life. But true transformation begins the moment you stop running, the moment you allow stillness to speak. Think about it. Every great decision you've ever made came not from chaos, but from a pause, from that quiet inner knowing that whispered, "This is right." Every time you've grown, it started in the silence between what was and what could be. That's where change begins, not in motion, but in awareness. The world will tell you to move faster, to fill every second, to scroll, to chase, to react. But the mind that never rests cannot see clearly. When you live in constant noise, you confuse activity for progress and motion for meaning. You start believing that the next thing, the next achievement, the next validation will finally bring peace. But peace is never found after the race. It's found when you stop running altogether. Stillness is not weakness. It's not laziness. It's not withdrawal. It's mastery. It's what allows you to act with precision instead of impulse, to respond with wisdom instead of emotion, to create from purpose instead of pressure. When you learn to be still, you no longer react to life, you direct it. You stop being a slave to your thoughts and emotions, and instead become their guide. You start to see your fears not as walls but as waves, rising and falling, never permanent, always passing. In stillness, you remember that you are not the storm, you are the sky behind it. Most people are terrified of silence because silence reveals truth. In quiet moments, your mind will show you what you've been avoiding. It will replay the unfinished conversations, the unhealed wounds, the fears you thought you'd buried. But that's not punishment, that's purification. The silence isn't your enemy. It's the mirror that shows you what needs your attention. When you learn to sit in stillness without running from yourself, you build a power that no one can take away. The power of presence. The power to be fully alive in this moment, without needing it to be different. The power to feel peace, not because life is perfect, but because you are no longer at war with it. There's a story I once heard, not of a king or a sage, but of a farmer. Every morning, before the world stirred, he would sit quietly on his porch, eyes fixed on the horizon. Neighbors thought it was strange. They said he was wasting time, but he said something that stayed with me. If I don't sit with myself before the day begins, I forget who I am by the time it ends. And isn't that the truth for most of us? We wake up and dive into noise before we even remember who we are. We rush into roles, expectations, responsibilities, and lose touch with the calm center that gives life meaning. The world keeps spinning, but inside, we grow restless. We ache for something we can't name. That ache is your soul asking for silence. Stillness reconnects you to that center. It realigns you with what truly matters. It reminds you that you are not your worries, not your failures, not your titles. You are the awareness that watches them come and go. You are the quiet strength beneath the surface, steady, timeless, unshaken. When life feels heavy, don't always look for what to do. Ask instead, what can I release? What thought can I let go of? What fear can I stop feeding? What expectation can I put down? Sometimes, doing less opens the door to becoming more. Stillness is not about escaping the world, it's about returning to it with renewed clarity. After all, Even the ocean must rest between waves. Even the heart must pause between beats. If nature itself honors stillness, why do we resist it? Start small. Find one moment each day to be fully still. No phone, no noise, no distraction, just you. Breathing, feeling, existing. Let the silence settle. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but that's only because your soul is stretching. Stay with it. In time, you'll find that silence isn't empty. It's full of answers you've been too busy to hear. In stillness, you'll discover that peace was never something you had to chase. It was always waiting, just beneath the surface of your thoughts, patiently whispering, "I'm here." When you touch that silence, even for a moment, life changes. The chaos outside doesn't disappear, but your relationship with it does. You stop being swept away by every emotion or opinion. You start choosing your response instead of reacting to circumstances. And in that choice, you find freedom. The power of inner stillness is the foundation of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and lasting peace. It is where confidence is born, not from control, but from connection. When you can sit alone and feel complete, you stop depending on the world to make you whole. And when you no longer need the noise to feel alive, you become unstoppable, because now your energy flows from within. Calm, focused, and grounded, you can move mountains without losing your balance. You can face storms without losing your peace. You can lead, love, and live with clarity. So pause for a moment, feel your breath, listen to the quiet. This stillness is not the absence of life, it is the essence of it. You are not falling behind by slowing down, you are aligning with the rhythm of truth. And as you master the art of being still, you'll discover something extraordinary. The silence within you holds every answer you've been searching for outside. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to channel this inner stillness into focused action, how to move through life with calm power, deliberate intent, and unwavering direction. Because once you learn to be still on the inside, your every move on the outside becomes unstoppable. Chapter 7. Focus, the silent superpower. Focus is the invisible thread that connects dreams to reality. It's the bridge between intention and achievement, the force that turns scattered energy into unstoppable momentum. Yet in today's world, focus has become one of the rarest powers a person can possess. We live in an age of noise, constant notifications, endless scrolling, flashing screens, and competing priorities, all demanding a piece of our attention. Every moment pulls us outward. Every distraction whispers, "This is important too." But the truth is simple. The mind that tries to hold everything ends up holding nothing. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what truly matters, with absolute presence and purpose. It's about silencing the world long enough to hear what your soul is asking you to build. Imagine a ray of sunlight passing through a magnifying glass. On its own, the light is warm, harmless, but when focused, it can ignite fire. That is what your mind is capable of when it's trained to concentrate. Focus turns potential into power. But let's be honest, staying focused is hard. Because focus demands discipline. It demands that you say no to 1,000 things that are good in order to say yes to the one thing that's great. It means choosing depth over speed, creation over consumption, purpose over pleasure. Most people never master focus because they chase too many directions at once. They confuse being busy with being productive. They fill their days with tasks but starve their lives of meaning. The secret is not to add more, it's to remove what doesn't align. Focus is not about addition, it's about subtraction. When you decide what truly matters, everything else becomes noise. You stop reacting to life and start directing it. You stop asking, "What should I do next?" and start asking, "What deserves my energy right now?" Here's a truth few people realize: you don't lose focus, you give it away. Every time you scroll aimlessly, complain, overthink, or compare, you are trading your focus for nothing in return. The cost of distraction isn't just lost time, it's lost progress, lost peace, lost potential. So how do you take your focus back? You begin by creating space, mentally, emotionally, and physically. By decluttering your mind. Ask yourself, what am I holding on to that no longer serves me? What goals are truly mine and which were planted by others? Then eliminate what drains you. Protect your mental energy the same way you'd guard something precious, because it is. Limit noise, set boundaries, choose quiet over chaos. Remember, every yes you give to distraction is a no to your purpose. True focus also requires presence. You cannot concentrate on the future if your mind keeps replaying the past. You cannot create something new while you're still entangled in old energy. The most powerful people in the world aren't just disciplined. They are here, fully, completely, and without apology. When you focus, time bends. What takes others months, you can achieve in weeks. Because when all your energy moves in one direction, the universe moves with you. Opportunities appear. Ideas flow. The right people cross your path. That's not coincidence, that's alignment. Focus doesn't mean obsession. It means devotion. It means committing to what you've chosen, even when motivation fades. It means being loyal to your purpose, even when distractions try to seduce you away. Think of a sculptor chiseling stone. Every strike removes what doesn't belong. Slowly the vision appears. That's what focus does to your life. It carves away the unnecessary until only the essential remains. The masterpiece was always inside you. Focus is how you uncover it. Sometimes, focus will feel lonely. You'll look around and see others chasing instant gratification while you're choosing long-term growth. But remember, the world rewards those who can do what others can't. The discipline to stay focused is rare, but it is the seed of greatness. Focus also demands trust. The trust that what you are working toward will bloom in its time. Many give up not because they lack ability, but because they lose faith too soon. They dig up the seed to check if it's growing, instead of watering it patiently. Stay focused long enough, and what once felt impossible will start to feel inevitable. You don't need to have everything figured out to focus. You just need one clear direction and the courage to follow it with consistency. Progress is born from repetition, not perfection. The mind will try to distract you. The world will try to tempt you, and doubt will try to pull you off course. But the moment you return to your focus, you reclaim your power. Focus also sharpens intuition. The quieter your mind, the clearer your guidance. The more you train your attention, the more you begin to notice what truly matters. Subtle patterns, deeper insights, silent opportunities that others miss. That's how focus becomes not just a skill, but a spiritual practice. Here's the secret: your energy flows where your attention goes. So if your attention is scattered, your energy will be too. But when you gather your energy, center it, and channel it into one intention, life responds. It has to. Every great creator, thinker, and leader shares one common trait: not talent, not luck, but focus. They know that the mind, when directed, becomes a force of nature. And when that force is guided by purpose, it can transform the world. So ask yourself, what do I truly want to give my life to? What dream deserves my undivided attention? What goal, if pursued with full focus, could change everything for me? Because that single-pointed clarity is where transformation begins. Focus is not something you wait to have, it's something you build, one decision at a time. Every moment you resist distraction, you strengthen your power. Every time you choose discipline over doubt, you sharpen your edge. And every day you practice stillness and intention, your focus grows quieter, stronger, unbreakable. Let others scatter their energy. Let them chase every new trend, every new distraction. You stay centered, stay committed, stay focused, because when your mind becomes one with your mission, nothing in the world can stop your momentum. In this life, you don't get what you want, you get what you focus on. So focus wise, and in the next chapter, we'll explore how to turn that focus into unstoppable action, how to move forward with clarity, consistency, and courage, so that your purpose doesn't just live in your mind, but manifest in your world. Chapter 8. Action. The bridge between vision and reality. Dreams are powerful, but dreams without action are like seeds that never touch the soil. They carry infinite potential, but without motion, they stay trapped in the mind, beautiful but unfulfilled. Every person has imagined a better version of themselves, a better life, a better future, but few ever bring it to life, and it's not because they don't have the talent or the resources or the time, it's because they never take consistent, purposeful action. Action is the great divider. It's what separates those who wish from those who win. Those who talk about change from those who create it, those who dream of becoming from those who actually do. The truth is, action doesn't wait for the perfect moment, it creates it. Too many people wait for certainty, clarity, motivation, or courage before they move. But the greatest breakthroughs often begin in uncertainty, when you take a step forward, despite the doubt, despite the fear, despite not knowing what comes next. That's where transformation begins, in motion, not in thought. There's a sacred power that awakens the moment you take the first step. Something shifts inside you. The universe seems to respond differently. Opportunities begin to appear. Connections form. Momentum builds, not because luck changed, but because you did. Action moves energy. It turns invisible potential into visible progress. But let's be honest, action is not easy, because it demands something rare, commitment. It demands that you keep showing up, even when it's uncomfortable, even when no one notices, even when it feels like nothing's working. It asks you to trust the process before the results appear. And that kind of trust is the mark of those who rise above average. Every goal, every dream, every success story you've ever admired, it all came down to this single truth. Someone took consistent, focused action when it would have been easier to quit. Think of a sculptor. The masterpiece doesn't appear in a single strike. It's formed through thousands of small, deliberate actions. Every chip, every cut, every refinement brings shape to the vision. That's what your life becomes, through daily effort, the art of progress carved by the hands of persistence. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day, and underestimate what they can achieve in a year of consistent effort. They want immediate results, instant rewards, quick wins. But real growth is quiet, gradual, invisible at first. Progress often hides beneath repetition, doing the same small thing, again and again with intention, because what you repeat, you become. Taking action also means accepting imperfection. You will stumble, fail, and get it wrong. But those moments are not setbacks, they're signs you're in motion. Failure is simply feedback. It's the universe showing you where to adjust, not where to stop. The people who succeed are not those who never fail, they're the ones who learn faster, adapt quicker, and keep moving forward. You can plan forever. You can read, research, and visualize endlessly, but none of it replaces movement. At some point you must cross the line between preparation and execution, because clarity doesn't come before action, it comes through it. The first step always feels the hardest, because it's the one that breaks the chain of hesitation. But once you move, fear loses power, momentum builds confidence, and confidence fuels more action. Before you know it, the thing that once scared you becomes second nature. Here's something most people never realize. You don't need to take massive steps to change your life. You just need to take consistent ones. 1 hour of deep focus each day. One decision to do what matters instead of what's easy. One promise to yourself that you refuse to break. Small steps, taken daily, create unstoppable transformation. When you act, you honor your potential. You tell the world and yourself that you're serious about becoming more. You begin to shift from dreaming about the life you want to living. And the greatest reward of action isn't just achievement. It's the strength, confidence, and clarity that comes from doing what others only talk about. Action also transforms fear. You can't think your way out of fear. You must move through it. Fear feeds on hesitation. The longer you wait, the stronger it grows. But the moment you act, fear loses its grip, because motion and fear cannot occupy the same space. Every great journey, every invention, business, or movement began with one step. Not a perfect plan, not a grand strategy, just a single act of courage. That's how every destiny is shaped, one decision at a time. So what is the one step you've been delaying? What dream have you been postponing because you're waiting for someday? There is no someday, there is only now, and what you choose to do with it. Don't underestimate the quiet power of action. Even the smallest effort compounds when done consistently. Each day you act, you build momentum. Each moment of effort brings you closer to mastery. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the mountain you once feared to climb was conquered one step at a time. Action is how you tell the universe that you're ready, that you're no longer waiting to be chosen, you're choosing yourself. And when you do, life begins to respond differently. Doors open, people appear, energy flows in your favor, because the world always makes way for the one who dares to move. So don't wait for perfect timing. Don't wait to feel ready. Start where you are, with what you have, and trust that each step forward will lead you exactly where you're meant to be. Remember, knowledge means nothing without motion. Desire means nothing without direction. Dreams mean nothing without discipline. Action is the bridge between vision and reality, and only those who cross it ever discover how far they can truly go. Take the step, make the move. Don't just wish for the life you want, build it. And in the next chapter, we'll explore how to master consistency, the force that turns one day of action into a lifetime of transformation. Because starting is powerful, but staying in motion, that's where true greatness is born. Chapter 9. The Art of Staying Calm in Chaos. When life erupts into chaos, most people panic. The mind races, the heart beats faster, logic fades, and emotion takes the wheel. But imagine this instead: standing in the middle of a storm, completely calm, while the world around you spins in confusion. You breathe, you observe, you respond with clarity rather than react in fear. That is the art of staying calm in chaos. And those who master it don't just survive storms, they thrive in them. Because calm is not weakness, calm is control, calm is power. Every great leader, every wise thinker, every person who has ever risen above the noise, they've all shared one hidden trait: composure under pressure. They don't allow external chaos to dictate their internal state. While others are drowning in emotion, they are quietly steering their ship through the storm. Staying calm doesn't mean you're detached. It means you've learned to detach from panic. You've trained yourself to feel deeply, but not drown in what you feel. You've built a mind that doesn't react to noise, it responds to truth. Think about the last time something didn't go your way. Maybe you were insulted. Maybe your plan fell apart. Maybe someone disappointed you. What happened in that moment? Did you let your emotions take control, or did you pause to understand the situation before responding? Most people live their lives like lit matches, one spark and they're on fire. But those who stay calm, they're like the ocean, deep, vast and unmoved by surface ripples. The waves may crash, The wind may roar, but the depth remains still. The ability to stay calm is not something you're born with, it's something you build. It's a discipline, a daily training of the mind. Every moment you resist the urge to overreact, you strengthen your emotional armor. Every time you choose silence over shouting, patience over panic, presence over pressure, you are building an unshakable foundation within. Chaos reveals what kind of person you truly are. Anyone can appear confident when life is easy, but when everything falls apart, your true strength shows. The calm mind doesn't avoid problems, it simply refuses to be controlled by them. Let me tell you something powerful. You are not your emotions. You have emotions, but you are not them. Emotions are signals, not shackles. They are meant to inform you, not imprison you. The moment you realize this, you unlock a new level of freedom. When you're calm, you think clearly. You see solutions others can't. You hear intuition whispering where others hear only noise. You stop reacting to life and start responding to it. And that shift, that subtle, quiet shift, is what separates chaos from clarity. Sometimes the best response is no response. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every argument is worth entering. Not every opinion needs your defense. Learning when to speak and when to stay silent is part of emotional intelligence, and silence, when used with wisdom, is louder than any argument. Remember this: calmness is not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of emotion. The calm person still feels anger, fear and frustration, but they don't let those emotions control their direction. They acknowledge them, process them, and then choose action from a place of clarity. Life will always test your calm. People will provoke you. Circumstances will disappoint you. But your peace is your power. Never hand it over to anyone or anything. Protect it like it's sacred, because it is. Imagine your mind as a lake. When the surface is still, you can see straight to the bottom. Everything is clear. But when you stir the water, everything becomes muddy, distorted, and unclear. The same happens with your thoughts. When your mind is disturbed, your judgment clouds. But when you calm the surface, through patience, deep breathing, reflection, or simply pausing before reacting, clarity returns. Sometimes the calmest person in the room is the one who's already fought the hardest battles with it. They've been through storms that would break others, and now they've learned to smile through thunder. That serenity you see isn't natural, it's earned. You can become that person. You can train your mind to stay still, no matter how loud the world becomes. It starts with awareness, catching yourself in the moment before the reaction begins. Breathe. Observe your emotions without judgment. Ask yourself, is this reaction helping or harming me? Then act with intention, not impulse. Calmness also comes from trust. Trust in yourself, trust in timing, trust that not every problem needs to be fixed immediately. Sometimes, stepping back allows the storm to pass on its own. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every moment of silence is weakness. Often silence is strength in disguise. In a world addicted to urgency, calmness becomes your secret advantage. While others rush to speak, you listen. While others crumble under pressure, you stay steady. While others waste energy reacting, you conserve yours to act wisely. It's ironic, isn't it? The quieter you become, the more powerful your presence feels. The more patient you are, the faster you progress. The calmer your mind, the stronger your decisions. So, the next time life throws chaos your way, don't fight the storm, become the eye of it. Still, centered, untouchable. Observe the noise, feel the wind, but remain unmoved inside. That's how you stay powerful in a powerless situation. Because in the end, calmness is not just a mindset, it's a form of wisdom. It's the space between what happens and how you choose to respond. It's the awareness that you can't control everything, but you can control yourself. The strongest warriors are not those who shout the loudest. They are the ones who stand quietly, unshaken, in the middle of chaos, fully aware, fully alive, fully in control. When you master calmness, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, no storm can ever truly defeat you. Take a deep breath, feel that stillness within you. That's your true power, silent, strong and steady. Because the calm mind doesn't chase control, it is control. And as you move into the next chapter, remember this: life won't always be peaceful, but you can always be. The storm outside may roar, but the peace within, that's yours to protect forever. Chapter 10. Becoming a leader through presence. The moment you enter a room, before you speak a single word, people are already sensing something about you. There is energy, there is confidence, there is awareness. That is presence, the invisible force that defines leaders before they even open their mouths. Presence is not about intimidation or dominance or volume. It is about the quiet command of being fully there, fully aware, fully in alignment with who you are. Presence is magnetic. It draws people in, commands respect, and conveys authority without a single syllable. And the astonishing truth is that anyone can cultivate it. It doesn't rely on title, wealth, or inherited charisma. It is a skill, a state of being, a choice you make in every moment. Think of a time you felt truly inspired by someone. You didn't just listen to their words. You felt their energy. You noticed the calm intensity in their eyes, the deliberate way they moved, the confidence in every pause, every breath. That is the subtle power of presence. Words matter, but presence is felt long before the first word is spoken, and it lingers long after the last is heard. Becoming a leader through presence begins with self-awareness. You cannot command a room if you are not in command of yourself. Every gesture, every tone, every micro-expression communicates your inner state to others. If you are anxious, rushed, or distracted, it is obvious. If you are calm, deliberate, and grounded, that too is obvious, and it inspires trust. Presence is cultivated in the small moments: how you stand when no one is watching, how you respond when someone challenges you, how you maintain composure when things go wrong. Every decision to act with awareness, integrity, and intention strengthens your presence. Every choice to be authentic, rather than performative, deepens your influence. Leaders with presence do not seek attention. They radiate it. They are not loud because they are insecure. They are quiet because their confidence is unshakable. They listen more than they speak. They ask questions that reveal understanding. They offer guidance that feels natural, not forced. Presence is not performative. It is the natural alignment of thought, feeling, and action. To build presence, you must first master your inner state. Anxiety, fear, and distraction erode it. Mindfulness, reflection, and deliberate breathing strengthen it. When you are present within yourself, fully aware of your emotions, thoughts, and intentions, you radiate that presence outward. Others pick up on it immediately, even subconsciously. Another aspect of presence is energy management. Leaders with presence are fully engaged without being frantic. They are alert without being tense. They conserve their energy for what matters. This balance between calm and alertness creates an aura that others sense as competence, reliability, and trustworthiness. Presence also demands empathy. True leaders are aware of the emotional currents around them. They notice subtle shifts in mood, tension, and energy. They adjust their words, gestures, and tone to meet people where they are, not where they wish them to be. Empathy combined with presence is what transforms authority into influence, and influence into leadership. Silence is a powerful tool of presence. Those who rush to fill every pause reveal insecurity. Those who master the art of the pause create impact. Pauses give weight to words, clarity to ideas, and room for others to engage. Silence is not emptiness. It is the space where your presence resonates most strongly. Presence is also cultivated through preparation. Knowledge and competence underpin confidence. A person who is well prepared commands attention effortlessly, but knowledge alone is not enough. It must be integrated into behavior, into posture, into tone. When knowledge, authenticity, and calm energy merge, presence becomes undeniable. Practice is essential. Presence is not perfected overnight, and it is not static. It requires daily attention. It begins in your private moments. How you carry yourself on a quiet morning. How you engage with yourself when no one is watching, and extends to every interaction in public life. Presence is not only how others perceive you, it is how you perceive yourself, and that perception radiates outward. Leadership through presence is ultimately about alignment of values, actions, and energy. When your internal state matches your external actions, you are fully grounded. People sense when you are inconsistent, when words contradict actions. Presence communicates integrity, and integrity inspires loyalty. Imagine walking into a room where people instinctively feel your confidence, your calm, your clarity. Imagine leading a team where your presence sets the tone, and others mirror your composure, focus, and energy. That is the power of presence. It is not about being seen. It is about being felt. It is not about commanding attention. It is about commanding respect naturally, effortlessly. Every day you choose presence. You choose leadership. Every time you pause before reacting, listen before speaking, align before acting, you strengthen your influence. Leadership is not a title. It is the manifestation of presence, cultivated through awareness, intention, and consistency. As you integrate these principles, remember that presence is a journey, not a destination. It is a living, evolving force that grows as you grow. It is reflected in every interaction, every decision, every moment of calm authority. By choosing presence, you are not only transforming yourself, you are transforming the way the world responds to you. So step into your presence fully. Stand, breathe, and move with awareness. Speak with intention. Listen with depth. Act with alignment. Let every action, every word, every pause reflect the leader within you. You have arrived at the moment where vision meets reality, where knowledge becomes action, where composure meets influence. Presence is the culmination of everything we've explored in this journey. Clarity, action, calm, consistency, and self-mastery. And now, as we close this journey, remember, true leadership is not performed on a stage. It is lived in every moment. It is the silent command of your energy, the calm in your decisions, the integrity in your actions, and the authenticity in your presence. Carry this forward. Step into your life fully aware, fully grounded, fully present. Your words will matter. Your actions will resonate. Your presence will inspire. And in that you will not just speak like a leader. You will be a leader.